Now, I don't mean to sound like your grandmother's ghost come back to scold you, but the truth is, she knew more about keeping food than most folks with stainless steel appliances do today. She did it without power, refrigeration, or fancy equipment, and still managed to feed a dozen miles year-round. These days, we've got the science to back her up, but not always the patience. If the old pantry was born of instinct, the new one is born of information. But the goal is the same, to hold back the spoilage of time, to trap a little summer sunlight in a jar, and to have something sweet or savory to reach for when the fields turn brown. The science of safety. Let's start with something the old-timers didn't have to name, but knew by feel: botulism. It's a nasty little invisible killer that loves sealed jars and low-acid food. It doesn't smell, it doesn't taste funny, and it only takes a teaspoon of carelessness to put you under. Back then, most of what folks canned was pickled or salted enough to keep it at bay. Today, we've got pressure gauges and thermometers to make sure the job is done right. Modern food preservation rests on three pillars: heat, acid, and absence of air. Every safe method you'll read about fits under one of those headings. High-acid foods like fruits, pickles, and relishes can be safely processed in a boiling water bath, which reaches 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Low-acid foods like corn, green beans, peas, and meats require a pressure canner, which gets up around 240 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to kill even the hardiest spores of Clostridium botulinum. The two families of canning. Here's how you remember it. If it's sweet or sour, it's safe to water bath. If it's savory or starchy, it must be pressure canned. That's not folklore, it's physics. The only time you get in trouble is when you forget which side your food falls on. The water bath for high-acid foods. For jams, jellies, and pickles, you'll need a deep pot with a rack, mason jars with new lids and rings, a funnel and a jar lifter, and patience. Fill your canner halfway with hot water and keep it simmering. Prepare your food according to a tested recipe, and I do mean tested. If your neighbor's aunt's cousin swears she's been doing it this way for 50 years, that's fine, but still check the USDA chart. Pack the hot food into hot jars, leaving the right amount of headspace, usually ½ an inch for jams, an inch for pickles. Wipe the rims clean, apply the lids finger tight, then lower them into the water until they're covered by an inch. Bring it to a full rolling boil before you start your timer. When the time's up, take off the lid, let the jars rest 5 minutes in the water, then lift them out and set them on a towel. Don't touch them, don't tighten the rings, don't admire them, just let them be. By morning, you'll hear that sweet plink of seals setting tight. That's the sound of victory. The pressure canner for low-acid foods. If your goal is to can peas, green beans, or anything that ever moved, clucked, or oinked, then you're in the realm of the pressure canner. This contraption is nothing to fear if you respect it. Add a couple inches of water, load your jars on the rack, and lock the lid. Let the steam vent for 10 minutes. Don't skip this, it pushes out trapped air. Then apply the weight, bring the pressure up to 10 or 11 pounds, and hold it steady. When your timer's done, turn off the heat and walk away. Don't rush the cooling, let it drop naturally to 0. Then wait another 10 minutes before you crack the lid. Steam burns have humbled more men than lightning ever did. Once the jars are out and cooled, test your seals. The lid should be concave and solid under your thumb. Tap it. If it rings high and clear, it's sealed. If it thuds, eat it now or start over. The modern pantry beyond the jar. Now say you've got a freezer or a dehydrator. You're not sinning against tradition by using them. You're just extending the legacy. Drying the harvest. A good electric dehydrator is the modern sun. It runs steady, clean, and without the gnats. Apples sliced a 1/4 inch thick, dipped in lemon water and dried at 135 degrees Fahrenheit will keep for a year in an airtight jar. Same for peaches, plums, and tomatoes. Vegetables need a quick blanch before drying. Boil them for a minute or two, then shock in ice water. It locks in the color and flavor, the same way the grandmothers did when they scalded their peas before freezing. Dried corn and beans sealed tight are the sound of thrift when winter hits. Freezing and blanching. Freezers are the easiest way to store food, but without blanching, vegetables turn limp and lose their taste. The rule's simple. Boil them hard, cool them fast, and dry them well before they hit the cold. Spread them on a tray first, freeze them loose, then pack them into bags. That's called tray packing, and it keeps everything from freezing into one big vegetable brick. Fermentation and the living pantry. Fermentation is where science meets magic. Salt alone, nothing more, can transform cabbage into sauerkraut, cucumbers into pickles, and milk into cheese. The trick is ratio. 2% salt by weight is the sweet spot. Anything less and you'll invite trouble. Anything more and you'll stop the good bacteria in their tracks. The process hasn't changed since Ashley County's earliest kitchens. You pack the salted cabbage into a crock, tamp it down until it weeps brine, weight it with a clean rock or jar, and wait. After a week or 3, you got food that'll keep all winter and do your gut more good than a pharmacy. Tools of the trade. You don't need to turn your kitchen into a lab to get this right. What you do need is a thermometer to make sure you hit 240 degrees Fahrenheit in the canner, a scale to measure salt in ingredients by weight, not guesswork, a clean workspace because cleanliness is half the battle, and the little notebook to write down what worked and what didn't. That's how you build your own family gospel of food preservation. The spirit of the modern pantry. You see, all these new gadgets and guides don't change the soul of the work. They just make it safer and more predictable. The same humility still applies. You're still asking the earth to hold what you've taken from it a little longer. You're still leaning on salt, sugar, acid, air, and time, the same 5 companions every pioneer trusted. When you open a jar in February and smell summer, you're not just feeding yourself, you're talking across generations. You're part of a long conversation that began when the first settler sliced a peach and laid it in the sun. When a woman in a calico apron packed cabbage in brine and prayed it wouldn't spoil. When a grandmother dipped a spoon into mayhaw jelly and smiled because it set firm. Closing thoughts, the pantry as a time capsule. A well-stocked pantry isn't just a mark of preparedness, it's an act of gratitude. It says, the land gave, and I honored it by keeping the gift a little longer. So whether your shelves hold mason jars or vacuum-sealed bags, whether you stir your jelly with a wooden spoon or a stainless whisk, the work is the same as it ever was. You're not preserving food. You're preserving the very rhythm of living in Ashley County, the patience, the thrift, and the quiet confidence that no matter what tomorrow brings, there'll be something good to eat when the lamp's lit and the day's done.